Hello, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm popping on here to tell you my tale of woe, if you will. So you guys know I have these Stanley dupes, and I do them with the heat gun. Well, I made a mess up on one of the ones I was working on, and so I thought, we've off-gas stuff in our convection oven. I'm going to try to off-gas stuff with my heat gun. Well, I started doing it, and I realized I was getting some success. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put an image over the top to see if we can still see it. So let's just go along for the ride. Like I said, I've already started off-gassing it with the heat gun so you could see the rich color. I'll show you where my mistake was and where I've already started. So let's just go talk about it. And I'll also talk to you about how that heat gun saved me on those beach tumblers you guys all saw the pictures of. It's been a week, and it's only what? Wednesday, Thursday? I don't even know what day it is. I don't even know what day it is, but here we go. Let's get over to the other camera. Hello. Let's just do the darn thing. Just need to get my camera over there because, you know, that's a thing. That's a thing. I should probably give it permissions to say, hey, Nikki, you know what? You can use the camera over on the other side of the room now because, you know, life. Because life. All right. So there we are over there. Let's see. All right. Okay. So let's talk about what I did. And how this became an issue. So let's flip the camera over. Have the board here. Let me get my little message thing on because, you know, I don't always tell everybody when I'm going live in the back office because, you know, why? Because that would be important. All right. So here we go. Did it switch over? I hope it did. I'll find out in about 2 seconds. Okay, so it looks like it did. All right. So here is the side of the tumbler. It basically off-gassed on here, and I was like, crap, what am I going to do? This was all perfect. This is where I started, but look it. As I started to off-gas it, it's really coming off nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put an image right over the top of it to see if it will work. And then I'm going to tell you my other tale of woe while we do this. Okay, so what I did was I just started literally heating up the tumbler and whatnot. So I did those 20-ounce tumblers, right? And I used the mug press, which I have my tumbler press. I'm not going to use the heat gun for it, but let me tell you, this heat gun saved my booty because I only purchased the amount I needed. Did you hear that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So not thinking twice about it. I'm like, oh, I got this. I've pressed these. Oh, I could always, it's a skinny tumbler essentially with 2 different caps. What I failed to realize is that those caps are screw caps. So my other 20 ounces are not going to fit the bill, right? So anyway, I put it in my tumbler press. And you know how with your tumbler press, you're supposed to rotate the thing? Yeah, well, guess what I forgot to do? Rotate the thing. And I pulled the paper completely off and realized that I screwed this up. So I painstakingly lined up the image again because I didn't rip the paper. I lined up the image again and I literally used my heat gun on the patch that didn't get done and it came out perfect. Like, I couldn't have done that any better if I've tried. And this was me sweating bullets at this point going, oh, what am I going to do? So as you can see, this is coming off nice. It doesn't take long for this to off gas because this is wording. Cool, right? So you guys are just watching me get this off as best as we can. We're going to try to get as much of that black ink off. Now, I'm not saying to do this with all of your tumblers, but if you know you have something like this where it has wording and you can go in and cover it up, you can give it away as a freebie. We're going to see how well it works when I go to put the image on top. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, if anything, my mother gets a free mug out of this with a saying underneath that's so apropos. I don't know. You know, I'm hoping that this will just get covered up really nice, to be honest with you. So as you can see, the heat gun is literally off-gassing that entire image for me. It's not taking me long at all. And maybe I can save a project. Like I said, at the end of the day, my mom's going to get this mug. So I'm not sure if it's something I would sell if I've screwed this up, but I just wanted to show you how well it does off gas. As you can see, we'll go through it in a second. I'm just really going to get it nice and hot. This is where I didn't off gas it enough. Now, I know we have a ton of tumblers. We all know where I stand on the tumbler count. So what we're going to do is just try to get this off as best we can. Get as much black out of there. As you can see, part of this does off gas a little bit better. Holy Toledo, it's warm. Hold on. It's a warm tumbler. So it's definitely taking it to where I'm not going to be able to see it here. So I'm wondering how much I can take this down. I am doing a full print on this. I'm not going to be doing a spot print because, of course, you can still see it. But I am going to try to do a full print and see if I can't get some of this off of here and back off onto this. So we're just going to let the heat sit and rotate it slowly. Make sure it's less obvious. Okay, so we're going to leave it like that. Let it cool off for a hot second. As you guys can see it in the camera, that there is still there. And I probably could take it down a little bit further because you can see where there's spots that are definitely lighter than others. So I might be able to hit it real quick in those areas to kind of take down the tan, dark brown part of it. Because again, this is going to be a cover up. So we're not even going to worry about it at the end of the day. All right, so let that do its thing. And in the meantime, we're going to put it over there to cool off. And I am going to cut out my image. Scissors. Protective fingerprints. Highly overrated. So we're just going to put this out. So this is a fuchsia and purple floral design. I'm going to painstakingly try to put over the entire top of this tumbler to see if I can save it. Again, this isn't something that, and if it comes out great, maybe I will sell it. I don't know. I really don't know. At the end of the day, I have no clue what I'm going to do. But honestly, I'll probably just go to my mom. Like every good mother, she takes all the mistakes. All right. Okay, so that is that. Let's see if I can handle it yet. This bad boy is hot. Okay. So we're going to come up and around. We're going to bring it down here. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm checking to see where I want to put those snip marks in. Okay. We're just going to put the tape on here real quick, just so I can let go of it. And we're just going to, So I did this. If you're wondering what the size of this is, it's 12. I think it's like 12 and a half by 5. This is a solid 5 because I wanted the flowers to fade into this gradient piece. So it's a solid 5 inches wide. Now, most times I do them. Ooh, guess what? That's hot inside there. Most times I do them about 4.5 inches so that it comes just above the gradient, especially if there's wording involved. But because I am trying to fix a problem, I am going to really tape this down good on my seam. And yes, Lisa, I'm using a lot of tape. Okay. because the heat gun tends to make the tape come up. So I really want to make sure and really drag my thumb on that seam. Okay. Now, protect the other investment, my fingerprints, you know those things. And now, do you want the flowers down? Yes, I do. I want them cascading downward. Don't worry. Just, Brooke, just go through the process. Okay. So I like to start at my seam and work all the way down. So I want them cascading downward because I didn't want to create a harsh line. A lot of times with flower and floral stuff, especially if it's a border, it has a harsh line. So I wanted the harsh line to be at the top, not at the bottom. I want it to be to where it's just kind of just dripping down the top of it, cascading down through. So as you can see, I'm going back and forth. I'll probably do this about 3 or 4 times. Because I want some of the white, some of the, you know, there's going to be some peek through here. We're going to just see if I can cover up a mistake is what we're doing. Heating this up, doing the thing. If I get quiet, it's just because I get concentrating on what I'm doing. And in television, that's like the no-no of all no-nos. You don't get quiet. Well, I get quiet. Especially when I'm concentrating. So I go back and forth. I'm about 2 inches from the mug. And I'm just going to take my time doing it. It's going to take me probably about 3 to 4 minutes to do this. As you can see, the tape starts to come up. So I like to really hit this. That's why you wear your heat gloves, so you can push down the tape again because the tape softens up. Hit that seam really good because that's where a lot of insult to injury is, right? And I say that is because it's a seam. Not only is it a seam, it's also going around these little notches things. So I tend to I will hit the top of this mug. Right now, I just want to make sure that I get back and forth. Now, some papers, you can see it come through. The printer jack paper, I got to tell you, it doesn't show through the paper. I mean, I could see the image, but it's not like my JPP paper where I knew there was bleed through. This, I just got to understand the process. Really get it in there. Try to pay attention all the way across. Go all the way down because my image literally goes from side to side, from the top to the bottom. Really get it nice and hot. This sucker is hot, so I already know it's off-gassing. It's just a matter of how well it's off-gassing right now. And the fact that I was able to save a project with this heat gun, bonus. Think of how many projects we could probably have saved because it didn't press correctly around the top and the bottom of a mug. Most times I don't try to create the problem. It just happens. So when I have to recreate a problem so I could show you guys how to fix it, it happens. So this is why I came live because, well, I have a problem. And so now we're trying to fix it. And we're fixing it together. That's one of the things that I do here is I try to see when I have issues, how do we go about it? What's my thought process? How do we get from point A to point B? What are the things that we can tackle together? And those are the things that I do. So now what I'm going to do is come right up around this edge, making sure she is nice and saturated. You will start to see your paper brown a little bit. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Browning paper is okay because it can actually brown in your mug press. Cheyenne, I am also live on YouTube and in the group. in the group and on my business page. So I see one of my mods is here at least. And I could see, it bleeding through this seam. That's good. I like that. It means I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Again, this is not a method that I would use on anything else, but because these are big 40-ounce tumblers, they're hard to get inside your tumbler press. And I am not breaking out the convection oven. Not when it takes just about the same amount of time as it does with a heat gun. I'd rather use the heat gun all day long, every day. Especially because a lot of these are used as spot designs. So making sure I hit all of the areas. Now I'm going to slow down just a little on my back and forth, making sure that high heat is really hitting in there good, because this is my last turnaround. We're praying we're going to cover up my mistake. And I am closer to the paper, so that's why I'm moving the way I am. So I am much closer to the paper. Giving it some really high heat at the 1200 and making sure that it is doing the job it was supposed to do. All right. We're almost back to the other side. All right, moment of truth. So either A, I've screwed this up for the second time, and or B, I get the win. It's really it's cut and dry here. Where this is not a an either or. This is an either or. This isn't a hey Nikki, you're going to get both conversation. So let's take off the tape. Now I am going to gingerly take off this tape, and here is why. Because if I can go back around and wrap this back around and probably save the project if it didn't do what I needed it to do, I want to be able to have that option. And I know you had just totally exploded your heads. Nikki, you're going to take off a full wrap and you're going to painstakingly put it back on and pray that you get a win. Yeah, yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. Because why not? Here's one thing I've learned. Oops, I ripped it. Here's one thing I've learned over the years of doing the sublimation. The amount of project I was able to save. Okay, first of all, she's gorgeous. I just need you to point out the obvious. Now, I will say, I can see the wording because there is light flowers here. So note to self, you're probably going to want these deep, rich flowers in here so you don't see the wording. But my mama's still going to use it because she loves me. And it's just a mug for her anyway. Somebody's got to use this mug. Somebody has to use this mug. That's what it comes down to. All right. But overall, here's some thoughts. So I can still see the wording through here, but that's because this is a light cream flower. Didn't really think about that when I was making the design. What I could have done is I could have gone over here and done some more of the rich, deeper tones, and it would have come out absolutely flawless. And I would not have noticed any of the wording at that point. But I got to tell you, for something that was a total screw up, it's not horrible. I mean, again, mom's going to use it because mom's got another free tumbler to use. But see what happens when you put it down here in your gradients. People often ask, okay, so when you're doing sublimation, we have transparent ink, right? So what happens when you come down in here? So what it's doing is it's picking up the tones, and it's hard to see probably on the camera, but it's picking up the tones of this purple, right? The darker purples, you're not going to necessarily see it as much as you are going to see it in the whites or in the light colors, or in this particular color. This is the green. The green is more dominant because this is a lighter purple. So the green is going to show through a little bit better. But if it were like this up here where it was an ivory and I'd go to put it on here, that ivory flower would have definitely become more purple. But at the end of the day, I have just a few things I would need to work on. My types of flowers that I use, and make sure they're dark, rich, deep tones like the purples and the fuchsias, and it would have covered this up and no one would have known the wiser. But because I know all the flaws of this tumbler, it still came out gorgeous. I mean, it subbed beautifully right around my seam. I mean, you guys can see where the seam line is because it wasn't a seamless design. But now I just got to see if my mama will take the tumbler off my hands. And that's the thing. So there you go. So at the end of the day, I have at least could say note to self, I can off gas it with my heat gun. And note to self, I can, let me get the stuff that goes to this. I can fix it if I use dark colored, beautiful flowers, and it does cover it. Because the off gassing did work really well for the design that I was working on. And that was black. I mean, that was a rich black. I will say that my printer jack paper definitely gives me some nice, rich black color. And I'm very happy with that. So let's finish just putting this all together. Oh, I know she will. She'll be like, you know what? At first, she may not notice it unless she's watching the live. And then she'll be like, why is there words there? Well, you see, Susan, this is how this happened. Okay. So how you put these together is quite simple. As soon as I find my little handy dandy. Ah, crap. It's quite simple if you get it right the first time. Dingy. There we go. So you can use a power screwdriver if you want to. Mine don't ever get into the correct angle I need them to get into. So I just do them by hand. Push this down through. It go in at an angle because the holes inevitably do not line up 100% the way I want them to. And then I just push this down and tighten it in. There we go. Now she's tight. And just like that, we have a tumbler. And she's done. Now, I will say, if you're looking for some oddball things, what I like to do with my tumblers, especially these big old 40-ounce jobbies, I put the cap on the bottom. Why? Because when it does tip over, it's less likely. I mean, it's going to come through that hole, but it's going to be less likely because this is going to stop it. So that's why I do that. And if you are right-handed, okay, so I'm right-handed, I hold mine here, and I'm going to want my straw to face towards me. I place the straw facing the opposite direction, and then I turn it, and it pretty much will lock right around the spot I need it to. There we go. And that's it. I don't use the other caps that come with these. I just use the straw cap. There's these other caps that you can use that what they do is they turn it and they put the straw through here. I personally don't want that. I just don't. What this is actually made for is when you turn this, this is supposed to lock this in place. It still leaks. Even the Stanley's leaks. So there you go. That is what it looks like at the end of the day. This has been your quick tutorial on how to possibly fix your problem using the heat gun and off-gassing a design. Now, if it's a full bleed, I'm not sure I would go in and do a full bleed, but if you've messed up some warding like I did, it's great for that. And if you take your time and you unfold it and you notice you missed a spot, especially like when I used my tumbler press, I noticed I missed a complete strip that I lined it all back up, used my heat gun, it lined up perfectly, and it looked flawless. So sometimes you just got to be a little bit patient. And even in our moments of frustration, we have to find our patience. Give yourself some grace because accidents happen. Lord knows I make them all the time. So here you go. This is what it was. It was a heat gun tutorial about how you can off gas with it and potentially put a new design over the top of the tumbler. Now I just got to go see if my mom wants it. All right. Anyway, I'll see you guys all real soon. You know where. Whoop! On the flip side.